Next, foreign funds. We're taking a look at new polling numbers revealing how parents feel about colleges bankrolled by foreign adversaries. Joining us now to discuss this is Defending Education's Director of Outreach, Erika Sanzi. Good morning, Erika. Good to see you.
Good morning, Jan.
So break down some of these polling numbers from your organization, starting with a question about transgender athletes.
So first of all, here we saw, again, an overwhelming number of people that oppose transgender athletes being able to participate in sports based on their gender identity. Now, I will say this poll was only of parents who have children between the ages of 15 and 21. And I'm not sure if that's why the number came out slightly lower than a lot of other polling that we've seen in other places, Gallup, Pew, I even think CBS and New York Times.
Yes.
But still, you can see that it's an overwhelming number that are saying we want female spaces reserved for females only, and we do not want males to be able to compete against girls and women in athletics.
Also, the same poll found 67% want to implement anti-Semitism bias training for faculty and staff, with an overwhelming 82% who want colleges to stop foreign funding. And some say this is just common sense, and this has been big in the headlines, especially with the fight the Trump administration has had with Harvard.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the anti-Semitism training piece is coming because we're seeing so much anti-Israel content and rhetoric, as well as anti-Semitism on college campuses, particularly these very sort of elite campuses. And, you know, it's not just a few people. We can see that it's very much baked into the worldview of a lot of professors and a lot of content that's being shared with students. So clearly that's a problem and people want that addressed. But even more overwhelmingly was the number of people that are really not happy with the amount of foreign money pouring into our educational institutions. And it actually, we see this at the K-12 level and then more so in higher ed. Because if you look, there's a lot of money coming in from countries who are our greatest competition, who want to destroy us, who hate the West, who hate our freedoms. And so I do think that it makes sense to, at the very least, be skeptical about why is so much foreign money from adversaries pouring into our educational institutions.
And who also want to steal our IP. That's a big problem, too. A
Yes.
lot of that happening. Your organization filed a civil rights complaint against Fairfax County Public Schools, seeking a formal investigation for what Defending Education says is their use of discriminatory practices and far-left indoctrination. By the way, Fairfax County Public Schools is in Northern Virginia. So tell us more about this.
Yeah, I mean, this district has kind of been a hot mess for a while when it comes to discrimination and violations of discrimination law. They are, you know, they have the racial affinity groups where students and staff are broken up by race to meet. They have equity consultants. They have race-based disciplinary policies. And even in their own language, in 2017, they put in writing that they would require the district to pursue, and I quote, policies and practices and strategic investments designated to eliminate racial disparities and guarantee equal outcomes. Now, the only way that you can guarantee equal outcomes between any groups is by treating people differently, socially engineering what's going on. So this is obviously ridiculous. They have completely rejected anything related to colorblindness and merit, and they have really gone all in on that
equity. Terminology just in general when we're talking about equity and outcomes, that in and of itself, what's the metric for that? Who's deciding that it's an equal outcome, correct? That's also very difficult.
It is. I mean, I have to assume that they're talking about like their metrics, like their reading scores and their math scores and their suspension data or their discipline data. That's what I'm guessing that they're talking about. And we see gaps for all sorts of reasons in those. And so does it make sense to want to close those gaps? Absolutely. But clearly you have to do that.
You can't make it up.
You have to do that with academic interventions, with starting really early, with acknowledging, you know, why are people struggling and doing everything you can to plug those holes. It's not about we're just going to like treat people differently or lower the bar because we want to socially engineer equal outcomes. And unfortunately, Fairfax has done that. And finally, you know, hopefully they will have to answer for that and we'll see some changes.
We'll be following the lawsuit with you guys. Defending Education's Director of Outreach, Erika Sanzi, great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for having me, Jen. You too.